Welcome back to Just the Tip with Mike and Aisha, where I've been driving Aisha crazy all day by fake crying.
Mike, go ahead and fake cry. So Mike's been doing this kind of soft yet loud fake cry that you're just loud enough to hear through the walls. And I imagine that's the cry that Justin Timberlake did when he had to apologize to his wife for holding hands. Okay, so I like to think of myself as an opinionist, which means that I don't even need a fucking prompt to start talking about something. If anyone has any career ideas for me that you don't need a prompt and you can just talk all day, let me know. But anyway, I was thinking about this. Justin Timberlake issued a public apology, which was such trash. He said that he had a lapse in judgment. He didn't do anything inappropriate, and he had been drinking. But dude, I really think it would have been better if he never said anything at all. So I'm thinking about this as hashtag Cry Me a River. I wish that we had the rights to the song so we could insert it right here, but I'm not even going to try to figure it out. But that's a song he wrote when he had been cheated on, and I just imagine that, it's playing in his head right now. So it gets me to thinking, one, shutting the fuck up is free. I think he shouldn't have said anything. I think that everyone would have forgotten about it. It's very mild. The fact that we're even talking about a hand-holding incident makes me feel like we're one step closer to living in Handmaid's Tale. She touched his leg and they held hands and it was a fucking scandal. Two, public apologies in your personal relationship feel a little weird even for celebrities. And then it also just makes me think about cheating in relationships in general. So, Mike, what do you think about shutting the fuck up being free?
I thought it was worse when he apologized. Because, what he said, how he was like, nothing else happened. And that, to me, made it even worse. Wait, nothing else happened?
Have you ever had to, apologize in a relationship for something that actually didn't happen? Actually, you probably do that with me a lot with things. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Not cheating, but sure, I don't want to have this argument with you. I'm sorry. You actually did it yesterday.
I fake apologies all the time.
Babe, you just apologized to me yesterday about how you handled me breaking my nail. For those who don't know, I take pride in having grown out my natural nails, and I broke my nail in the dog's leash, and I instantly flipped. Then you instantly flipped.
No, I didn't flip.
You flipped after I flipped?
No, I never flipped.
Was that not flipping what you were doing?
Yeah, I didn't flip.
Okay, because immediately when I started yelling...
Your hair was on fire and you were yelling at me because I wasn't freaking out about your nail breaking.
Then you yelled at me to not yell at you.
Yeah.
Then I slammed the door.
Yeah.
Then I came back and told you I just needed you to be there for me, and understand what this meant to me. Mm-hmm. Then I said that I was having phantom limb syndrome, where it's I felt like my nail was still there, but it's really gone. I made you look at them about 13 times. Mm-hmm. And then you apologized to me. You gave me a hug, and then you apologized to me for what was happening. Was that a fake apology? A fake apology with a fake fucking cry. Okay, so but have you really in a relationship ever done anything that was questionable and just apologized?
Never. Well, I haven't cheated on someone, so I haven't had to apologize for that. But
have you held someone's hand?
No, I don't. I'm not into that kind of stuff. But I've lied, and then with you, I've been
oh yeah,
yeah. It's not cheating type stuff, but
no.
Just dumb stuff, and then you lie about it, and then you're like, okay, I actually lied about that, and then
but you got caught,
and then I have to apologize for it.
But you got caught. Yeah, you didn't apologize on your own because you felt bad.
I mean,
you
it's
got
not
caught.
I tried to cover it up. It was
you
just
didn't.
I'm sorry.
You wasn't just an I'm sorry. You wrote me a letter.
Yeah,
I still have it. I may frame it, but no one could see it because it's personal.
Yeah.
What about public apologies for celebrities? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's super weird that someone would have to do a public apology to their own loved one. In a personal relationship, hopefully people are making up in person. But, you know, you see stuff on Facebook, like, the person who needs to see this is going to see this.
That's just the biggest crock of shit. And I really try hard to not do like subliminal messages. If I ever have done that,
You know who you are.
it's literally venting, or like in the past it was venting. But most people know that one of my strengths is being direct, and my therapist can attest to me being emotionally like with it in the midst of like a confrontation or chaos. So I kind of come alive, and like I don't mind telling people what I think. Like I didn't. If you saw a tweet, it wasn't about you. I promise.
I think the public apology for a private affair is just like a symptom of our society and like celebrity culture. Like we put these people on pedestals.
Yeah.
We worship them. Like we pay to see them. You know,
It's
we buy
actually
their
really
content.
weird. Like if you would have written a public apology to me on Instagram, I know you have 200 followers. If you and your 200
Do
followers,
I even have that many?
I don't know. You should check. I think it's like, you may have more actually. But like, imagine if you would have written like a public apology to me.
Yeah, it'd be weird.
It'd be fucking hella weird.
It'd just be a bunch of like my friends reading. Or
They'd be like, ooh, it's kind of weird.
people that like barely know me, and then people that actually know me.
But I mean, like, then sometimes we're like nosy in celebrities. I don't think that it comes along with the territory. I think that the nosiness of being under the like, you know, the public's gaze comes along with the territory. But I really do kind of appreciate people who keep their business to themselves. It's almost like don't meet your heroes. I don't want to know that like your stomach was upset and that you can't have gluten and that you cheated on your wife.
It's funny that you're saying you appreciate people that keep their business to themselves.
I know it's weird coming from me.
Yeah, but we literally are podcasting about someone else's business, and they didn't put it out there. Someone video recorded someone.
Well,
and
to be
then it
honest,
went
if you
viral,
do
and then we talked about
shit
it.
in public, if you do something sketchy, or if you do anything in public, whether it's good or bad, I mean, it can be talked about. There was this thing that went viral where it was this woman who put a container of treats out for UPS and USPS and all like that. Also is public, and that went viral, and we can talk about that. It's not as interesting as Justin Timberlake apologizing for holding someone's hand and being adamant nothing happened, but I was drunk.
Okay, I'm over it.
Anyway, I think that it's interesting to me because it makes me think about cheating in relationships, and really, instead of just calling it cheating, I think it's just setting boundaries and guidelines for what your relationship is going to be and what are the things that we're not going to do.
Yeah, actually, so I'm going to, even though I was over it, I'll say for the Justin Timberlake
I'm back
thing,
with it.
I'm like,
Welcome back,
when you
Mike.
first showed it to me, I said, well, what if they have that kind of relationship where they like hold hands with, maybe they're friends, maybe they're all three friends and they all hang out and put their arms around each other.
That's what you said after you said, I don't know who that girl is, and he's the famous one. Maybe she has a crush on him. Hashtag he wasn't joking.
I mean, I'd never heard her name before.
Oh, cringy. Don't sound so cringy. But then remember I showed you the video or the picture, and I zoomed in on Jessica Biel's eyes, and I was like, she was crying. I can tell.
Yeah.
So she was crying.
Okay, so boundaries in relationships.
So how did we set those?
Well, we just talk. You have to talk about it. You have to talk about it one-on-one with your partner.
But before we were even in an official relationship, I remember being out and like being at a bar in Cap Hill, and I remember like casually making a joke to you and you telling me like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And we weren't in a relationship. You like immediately told me like,
No, it was a text. You were like, oh, you better come soon before I like, you know, like start talking to someone, like something like that. Like,
it was along the lines of like, you're not there yet, and I may start talking to some other people if you're not here. Like very playful, but like, you know, we're new to each other still.
Yeah, and I just like texted you right back like, I don't find that funny.
Like he immediately let me know, I don't like those types of jokes. I don't like that type of thing. I'm not into open, like this is not the same conversation. Another conversation was like, I'm not into open relationships. I'm not trying to have threesomes. Kind of just going down the list of things that I think involve other people outside of the two people, and just, there is no right or wrong. It's what works for you and your situation, but making sure you're on the same page. And if you can't have that open, honest conversation with someone, you should really think about the person that you're with, and that's probably not that bright person for you. If you feel as though you can't speak up and say what you need.
Yeah, I think there's like a couple stages. There's, you know, the dating stage is where it might be hard for people to have that conversation straight on because they're not in a formal relationship. They may not know how to approach that topic with this new partner. But then I think there is that stage where you think you might be mutually exclusive. And I think when you reach that stage, you absolutely have to have a talk with your partner and be like, okay, hey, we're mutually exclusive, right?
I would not advise any of this. Okay, so this is your version.
Or like, hey, I want to talk about what our exclusivity is. I would like to be exclusive, something like that.
Yeah, but I think we were pretty clear when we were like dating, courting, not having committed to each other that what we were and were not into. Because I think it's important for things like that are part of your life. I don't think you need to wait until you're in a committed relationship with someone to go over the things like that. I think those are like, let's talk about this as a prerequisite to see if we would even be compatible to be serious. Because like those are not things that will change about you.
Oh, yeah. So, like, if you're someone who...
Like, you knew you didn't ever want to have that type of joke come from me to you.
Yeah, so I told you, as soon as you made the first one, I just had to, like... and prior to that, we're trying to be playful with each other. We're getting to know each other. We're not being too, like, hey, I don't like that. Don't do that. Because at that point, we were just very new. But as soon as you said a joke like that, I just had to, like... make sure you knew right away, like, oh, that's just not a type of humor I'm into.
Right. And I think for us, because we're getting married in our 30s, and I think we have lived life, and we have exes we're friends with, we have friends of the opposite sex where it's platonic, like we just have these full lives. And I think that you and I both have a level of trust, and we know what we consider to be disrespectful to our relationship. And other than that, we really do trust the other person to not do some dumb shit, and to not need to consistently apologize for doing shit that we already know is a standard in our relationship. So I think it's really good to make sure, one, before you're entering a relationship, you know what is true about yourself, so that you don't misrepresent yourself when you are dating or interacting with other people. And then two, when you get to that point with someone where you feel it's necessary to kind of like go over the things that matter to you and matter to them, whether you're in an open relationship or you're not open, and quote, open relationships can be a multitude of things, and it really varies for each individual couple. We should find a couple to have on here to talk about that. Mm-hmm. But because it ain't us.
Yeah.
Because it's not us. I think that's interesting. And also, it's good to check in, just because as you're with a partner, things that change and evolve. I'm always coming to you and being like, let me know if you ever want to do some weird shit, or like whatever changes, or you know what I mean? And I'm being playful when I say it, but there's a level of seriousness that I am in this relationship with you. You are my partner. We are going to grow through life together. And there may be one day you want to do something. I just don't want you to be on like the black web. Is that what they call it? I don't want you to be on like some like weird fucking site looking for shit. Got some weird kinks. I don't want you to be someone's cash pig. Hashtag shout out to Euphoria, whatever that episode was.
I want to be your cash pig.
Also, something that I was really interested in talking about was the Peloton Holiday Ad, but not for what you may think. The Peloton Holiday Ad was so fucking generic and not creative, and not interesting, that the fact that it was in headlines was wild. And so when I actually watched it, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Is this what everyone's enraged about? So after posting a few Insta story videos, just sharing my opinion on what I thought the ad was, and I showed it to you as well. You had your own thoughts on it. It made me think like a level deeper. And I think so many people were triggered because, one, we have interesting relationships with our own bodies. And then two, it made me think of how many people are in situations where they are being made to feel bad about themselves by either a romantic partner, family. I know that parents can pass down that weird shit. And so it got me thinking about body image in relationships, and also what not to get your significant other for the holidays. So, Mike, what has your experiences been like in past relationships with your body image, or how you have you pushed anything onto other people with their body image?
I mean, I would say, thankfully, any body image issues I have are totally self-born, besides just being like 160 pounds in 6th grade and like hearing what little kids would say about you and like knowing like you're the big kid in the class, and that like definitely sticks with you. But that was, I mean, aside from that, like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I was heavier than most other kids, and so
You were like a little chunk.
yeah.
You were
but
like
besides,
you were like a cute little chunk.
Besides that very small couple years, everything that I would have for body image would be derived from that time period, actually. And
Does it still stick with you? As
um,
you've like for the first time in your life, as you've said, lost weight.
yeah. No, I'm beginning to like shake that mental image of myself as the chubby kid.
Really?
Well,
Just now?
a few years ago, I definitely like
Started
in
to
my
let go.
mid-20s, I definitely started to like let go of that and be like, you know what? You have like body dysmorphia. Like you're not like you're okay.
Yeah.
You know, you can be okay. And then, but especially as I actually lost weight, then I was like, oh, you can lose weight. Like you don't have to be seeing yourself as the chubby kid your whole life. You can actually lose weight and change the way you view your own body.
And then, did you notice in your relationships that you were ever treated differently at all?
No, well, I don't know. I think it's just like selection. I have tended to end up in relationships with people who were attracted to me, and I was
Which is a
attracted to
really,
them.
really good starting point, right?
And also, like, I don't think I could ever. I just can't tolerate someone saying like I'm not down with negative talk.
Yeah, not even like you're not the self-deprecating humor type or like the self-deprecating in relationships, the couples that do that. It actually triggers both of us in a way to be like, ew, why are you guys fucking together? Like it's weird to show love that way.
Yeah. So it's just like you're like the first time you ever made like a little jealousy joke and you haven't done it ever again. But it's just like that. Like I can't even be in a kind of relationship where someone's making a kind of a mean-spirited jab at you, really, because I'm just like, oh no, that's not me.
Yeah,
So,
and also I'm not a jealous person. I'm territorial, so I will consistently be territorial. I could let go easily of being jealous or like playful jealous things because I'm not actually like that.
so to answer your question, I have not been. I don't think I haven't had body image issues resulting from a relationship.
That's good, and I think you said a key thing. You tend to be in relationships with people that you find attractive and with people who find you attractive.
Oh, I did have every night like I would go off and on, grow a beard and not. And there was this one girl who I was in. I mean, she was a woman. I was a man at the time, but I was post high school.
Thanks for that clarification. Everyone was wondering how old you were.
I was interested in her, but she would occasionally make a remark that like, "Oh, you need to lose weight," and then, "Oh, I don't like your beard." And in my head, I knew, like,
you know, she is not me.
yeah, I knew, like, oh, if someone has something to say about your facial hair, it was funny with the weight thing because I still was like, well, yeah, you are kind of chubby to myself. I was like, I let that slide, but then as soon as I heard like, oh, you shouldn't grow a beard, I just knew like, okay, this person's probably not the person for me.
She's not the person for the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
She's not meant to live here where the men are bearded, thank God. Yeah, that's weird. I've had experiences being in relationships with people on both ends of the spectrum, and I will say that it takes a lot of work to not allow someone else's either body dysmorphia or just weird thinking and comments to penetrate you. I think that it probably does fall under the term of mental and verbal abuse to be with someone who consistently will make comments that make you feel bad about yourself, that are just overly critical. I know that some people don't even get that from a romantic partner. It's from their parents. And I am kind of horrified to think of these little children who from a young age are being told, having their bodies picked apart, being told they don't look good enough or whatever. And then you see them as adults and you're like, damn, you didn't have a chance. So for me, luckily, I didn't really get it from family. My mom makes little comments every once in a while, like throughout my life, where she's the type of mom that like is my biggest cheerleader, but would say like, oh, but imagine if you lost 5 pounds. But it was never like, but 5 pounds is like, yeah, imagine. Cool. I'm just going to go on with my life. It was never like, imagine if you lost 75 pounds, you know? So I don't think I've ever had my weight swing so big where it's like, I look like a different person, where it would be a thing. And then being in a relationship with you, you make me feel like a goddess, whether I'm dressed up or dressed down or whatever. And so I think there really is a testament to, it's the testament of saying being with someone who you find attractive and who finds you attractive. It's kind of like nice. But loving yourself, you got to start with loving yourself. Please don't bring a broken, shattered person to a relationship and expect that other person to build you the fuck up. I'm not saying that you can't grow and heal and build with someone, but like you need to be doing your own shit. You need to be aware of your own issues and willing to have already started working on them. And I think that being with a partner who loves you and supports you in the journey you're on helps. Also, what not to get your significant other for the holidays. I think that...
Can I just say, like, a Peloton bike would be a pretty sweet gift.
Okay.
I don't want to buy it for myself because it's fucking expensive.
A Peloton bike
hell.
is at least like $3,000,
Yeah.
and I would rather you buy me gold. I would rather have like gold necklaces and rings and like some emeralds.
But imagine what kind of society we live in that people are offended that a husband would buy their wife an exercise bike.
I think it's the cliche thing we see with a husband buying his wife exercise equipment to get her to look good. It's like, I think that's the narrative that's around it. The Peloton ad did not include any narrative. It just included like some imagery and people ran with it. If you want to ever see an example of the public running with something in a direction before they really know what the fuck's going on, just watch the Peloton ad and then go and Google the fact that it was on CNN, CNBC, Fox. It was on all these headlines. Oh, I can't believe I used Fox as an example. But it was on all of these things. No, I can't handle another fake cry. It was just like wild because the ad wasn't that bad. It was just a bad ad.
It was just an awful, stupid, inconsequential ad. Like, it was just lame. It was just a lame, stupid ad.
Yeah, it was definitely that. I think for holiday gifts, the safe thing to get a partner is, this is my idea. I think that you should, if you do gift giving, if you celebrate the holidays, you should, one, talk to each other and see what your spending is going to be like. What do we have a price limit? You know, sometimes it can be weird if there's a big shift in like pricing or whatever. Are there any mutual gifts that you want? Maybe instead of buying holiday gifts, you really want to do a vacation, or you really want to buy a sofa, or you want to buy something that is for the both of you. Otherwise, I think doing a little gift guide where you maybe say like, hey, I'm going to create, God, I don't want to use Amazon as an example because they're also problematic, but like I have this Amazon wish list where you can go on there and see the things that I'm kind of wanting, or you can just go to Pinterest, or you can go anywhere and have fun with creating some different things that you're actually into. If you're into sentimental stuff, the person that you're with, maybe you give them a few ideas. I send you shit all the time that's on Instagram that I forget about. I also have already told you, like, I want something that's gold. I want a real gold necklace. And that's like what I want, with either Sephora gift card or some plant shit.
Do you think Santa's listening?
I'm looking at Santa.
I'm going to say also something that Aisha, you said to me earlier today, is you asked if you think you should get my brother-in-law a fertility testing kit after we were talking about kids this weekend with them. And I'm thinking that just
because he talked about fertility.
As a general rule of thumb, don't get your extended family a gift that they have to masturbate into.
I mean, I still think a fertility kit is an acceptable gift to give someone.
Yeah.
Who mentioned their fertility and not knowing if they were fertile or not.
Yeah, I'm still gonna like stick with my.
It's just like giving 23andMe.
Like,
I'm not getting the sample.
You don't have to masturbate into a 23andMe cup.
Well, your brother-in-law also said that he did not know how he was supposed to get the sample. So maybe, no, I mean, like he actually said that, but he's like PhD, he's super smart. So like he could figure it out. Hashtag he's a scientist. So yeah, I just think that like going into this holiday season, there's going to be a lot of parties. Don't get drunk and fuck your coworkers if you are in a monogamous relationship where getting drunk and fucking other people is not part of what your deal is. Also, don't be that sloppy drunk person at the holiday party. I've been there years and years and years ago, and it's just not a good look.
People don't forget.
This was like honestly before I think Instagram existed when I did it. So like, ugh, I'm happy that doesn't exist anymore.
Like get sloppy drunk with your friends.
Yeah.
Not with your coworkers though.
I've been been sloppy drunk with some coworkers who became friends, but like still know your audience, know who you feel comfortable around.
Don't drink and drive.
Don't get crossfaded.
Ooh,
that could go wrong. And then also don't get your significant other a gift that may strike a sensitive spot where they may take it the wrong way.
Yeah, and talk to your significant other about what they might want for Christmas. Be
with someone who you find attractive. Be with someone who thinks you're attractive. Marry for the right reasons.
Yeah, this sounds like really shallow.
Our podcast is all about just like be with someone who you like.
be with someone who you love, man. It's that easy.
It's just so easy. Be with someone who you talk to.
Something I was thinking about is oftentimes, so I've had people come up to me and they're like, I haven't found someone, and like, is there something wrong with me?
Oftentimes people come up to you and say that.
Well, there's been a few people who have said it multiple times.
That's sad. Men or women, or a mix.
I mean, let's be honest. Men might feel that, but women might be more willing to like talk about it.
Okay.
So I want to say that I've been thinking about human interaction and relationships, and it's not there's nothing wrong with someone because they haven't found a mate yet. They haven't found that.
Duh.
Yeah. People, but that's not obvious to some people.
Partnering isn't the end all be all of this beautiful thing called life. Okay.
I think of like human people. We're all magnets.
Have you ever seen the Golden Girls?
We're all just magnets, and our magnets all have different charges.
Mike has crazy eyes now.
And you know how some magnets stick to each other, but humans, we're very particular magnets. Our magnets only stick to a certain kind of other magnet, and if you throw yourself in with a whole bunch of other magnets, i.e. your life, the people you interact with on a day-to-day basis, your magnetic charge might not interact with the other people that you talk to on a day-to-day basis.
I'm going to sum this up. What Mike is saying is everyone isn't for everyone, but there is someone for everyone.
Yeah. So like just because you just
the shorter version.
Okay, shorter version.
Wait, I was just on Reddit's site, so I'm learning all the acronyms. TLDR, but that's not the one I was going to say. I was going to say the one that's like, explain it like I'm 5.
Explain it like I'm 5. Okay.
But also too long didn't read.
Yeah. Okay, so
but go back to what your friends were saying, like how like they really do feel like they're not going to meet someone.
Yeah, I mean, this person genuinely asked, like, is there something wrong with me?
Did you start by asking them, well, what do you do? Like, how are you trying to meet people? I always start with what efforts have they made?
I may have tried to open it with my magnet story.
Ooh, did you lose them? And then they got a drink and drifted to a different bar.
They went and talked to someone else.
But I think it's when I've had friends say, when we've talked about topics like that, I always start with, well, where do you go? And the friends that I have who jokingly are kind of talking about it, it's more like, well, I don't leave my house. And it's like, well, unless your dream partner breaks into your house and takes you, like, you're not going to fucking meet anyone. If you only go to this place from this time to this time, 3 days a week, what are the odds you're going to meet someone? I think the best way for people who want to meet people to actually end up meeting them is to go out and live a full life. Go live your life and meet people organically. Otherwise, there's a million fucking apps.
Yeah.
You got to filter through them, but like... Meeting people isn't hard. Finding quality people you may want to spend your time with can be more of a challenge, even with friends. Shit takes time.
A lot of people are now meeting online. A lot of people. And I find that there are still a lot of people
Welcome to 2019, almost 2020, Mike.
There are people
meeting on... But did you know that people actually, like, meet online?
There are still people, though, who stigmatize it and think that it's a lesser way to meet people.
Well, there's certain apps that are for hooking up, and there's certain apps that are more serious. I mean, an app that requires a sentence versus an app where someone writes a novel about themselves is kind of different.
I think the app is just a mechanism to get your magnet to interact with more magnets. And
someone please send Mike a fucking magnet. I'm literally going to buy you a container of magnets.
That'd be awesome.
What would you do with them?
Make something?
Just like how you were making teeth molds, like, for a while. Yeah. It's going to turn into another project that you're excited about that you sit to the side that ends up in a box.
Hobby collector.
Hashtag hobbyist. Mike's a hobbyist for real, and I'm an opinionist. And we're in love. And we're planning our dream wedding with just family.
People told me that was a good idea.
Everyone says that because everyone who's actually had their wedding, unless they had someone else pay for it, People who have paid for their own weddings tend to be like, damn, if I could do it over again,
Yeah.
it would have been kind of nice to do something for $3,000 and have $27,000 to start our married life with. And when people ask me, I'm pretty good about, I'm not really a people pleaser, and I tend to not care about what people think often. So when people will ask me about like, oh, where are you going, or what are you doing, or what are you wearing, it's just like, I'm paying off my credit card debt, and this is what our life is, and no one can argue that, because it's just like, oh, what are you gonna, like, I'm not going into debt for a party where you're gonna complain that the food was a little dry and that I didn't have enough wine for you to drink.
Yeah, for Christmas this year, Santa is bringing me an Aisha that paid off her debt.
Yeah, so for Christmas, my goal by the end of this year was to pay off all credit card debt, knowing that Mike and I are getting married next year, knowing that we are building a life together, knowing that he does not have debt. I think, we need to do a whole podcast on finances, because literally no one talks to their partner about finances. A lot of people are living financial lies and have a death grip on someone else, and like, I'm alarmed at the amount of people I have spoken to who either don't talk to their partner, someone that they're like tied down to. They don't talk about finances. They don't talk about money. They've never talked about what their financial goals are for the future. Like, what are you fucking working towards? It actually is horrifying, and it makes me feel more appreciative for what you and I have, and knowing the amount of work that goes into it, and knowing how difficult the conversations can be. And by difficult, I just mean that all of us have different relationships to money, so it's not the same level of conversation for us.
Well, it takes a ton of work to even get to the point where you can have a single talk about finances.
And sometimes you gotta space it out. Maybe it's a 10-minute conversation.
Oh yeah, we've started the conversation like a million times.
We're like microdosing financial advice.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it's a ton of work. It's taken years of like starting to approach the topic, and then someone gets emotional, and then we back off, and we think, okay, and then we reapproach
patience
it.
On your side.
Patience. You reapproach it later. You find strategies. Okay. Aisha doesn't like to talk about finances in this way. Mike doesn't like to talk about finances in this way. And so you slowly start to figure out how you can have that conversation.
But knowing that, I think a big thing I'll leave this episode with, just talking about finances, and also because I've talked to some friends recently about this, you and I are pretty opposite when it comes, not polar opposite, but we're pretty on, different ends of the spectrum when it comes to finances and our approach to money, because it is a core value of yours. It was something that I think for anyone to be in a serious relationship with you, in a relationship that you're getting married and building a life together, you have to prioritize it. I have prioritized it as a value for me because of my love for you, and also common sense and knowing that it's important and it only betters us. But I think that something to remember is that it can be emotional, and you have to meet someone where they are. And I think that you did a good job of meeting me where I was, but also knowing that, one, we were going to address it for sure. It wasn't something that would, how some people are like, oh, we'll circle back to it, and you never talk about it. We don't really do that with any topic, no matter how difficult it is. So you had faith, and you knew that it was something that I would talk about and would address. So like, for you to be the one who is more serious about finances and savings and being debt free, I think that I gave you something tangible to feel like, okay, she's not going to blow this off. She is going to come back around. And I think that was important. And for me, I think it was important to have you be patient. And I also was very vocal with like, I need you to acknowledge that I've done this work. There were a couple of times where you I don't think intentionally dismissed all the work I had done, but for you, it's not work. So I think I had to call out like, no. I made a fucking spreadsheet on my own, and I listed out all of my debt, and I put together a plan I was just like, you will acknowledge this, and you will say I did a good job. Yeah. You got to be okay with like telling someone like, hey, I need you to fucking give me a pat on the back.
Yeah, you do need to give the person their win.
Yeah. So any tips for giving someone their win?
Even if you don't really think it, just give them the win.
Babe.
Give them the apology, give them the win.
So we are ending this episode with how we started, with fake apologies and fake crying. thank everyone for listening, Mike.
Bye.